so much for joining us as TMI Tuesday, and I'm your host, Philip Omo-Gupon. I did say we'll be looking at the Entrepreneur and 2019 budget proposal. We're looking at it in the sense of the fact that the 2019 budget proposal by the President as presented, looking at key issues that pertains to boosting the entrepreneur and how does that pan out. The fiscal document year in, year out. How does it boost? How does it improve on entrepreneurial development? I have young entrepreneurs with me, and starting from my extreme left, I have an educationist and a director of Africa Emancipation Movement. It's no one else but Osagie Godsent Erunse. Many thanks for coming.
My pleasure again. Thank you, Philip. Good morning, viewers.
And also next, I have a startup consultant, a social media influencer, and he's Abo David Fard. Thank you for coming, David.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Well, putting the word straight, entrepreneur, it brings some hope that there will be a business that will bring about economic development. And the president did say that the 2019 budget proposal, when passed as a budget, will bring about a lot of sustainable economic growth, will bring about inclusiveness to the Nigerian entrepreneur. What do you make of this as it pertains to Nigerians generally and the posture of the entrepreneur in 2019 vis-a-vis the fiscal document that we expect?
Anyway, first of all, let me say that entrepreneurship is not about rhetorics. You know, what I mean is developing the entrepreneurial sector.
Yes.
Is not about political rhetorics. Over the years, by successive governments, we have seen how this very key area of the economy have not been given due attention. Okay? Now, why I had to say that is that entrepreneurial businesses thrives on certain policies. And if you look at the budget holistically, you'll notice that the area of the budget that really cater for entrepreneurial development is the capital expenditure. Okay? Now, it's a good promise again, like we have always heard. You know, there is hope and assurances that there is going to be a booster in the entrepreneurial sector. But where is the political will? Just about last December, we were talking about the fact that if you look at the capital expenditure, just only 20% as at then, I don't know about now, has been used up for 2018. You know, and it is the capital expenditure, not the recurrent, that has a direct link with entrepreneur. All right? Now, if you look at different developed economy of the world, you notice that part of the main sector that have really drives the economy of the world to making it viable and robust, if you talk about America, China, UK, is the private sector. And every government must have a connection, not just as a paper talk. That's the reason why I said it's beyond a propaganda talk. It has to be seen. What are the policies? What are the infrastructures in place, the system in place that will help an average or a startup entrepreneur to thrive? All right. Now, one time, early last year, I did research, and I noticed that, sad to say, but it's the real thing. Okay, what it would take a startup entrepreneur to survive in the Nigeria terrain is like 5 years behind what would we take a startup entrepreneur to start in the Ghanaian terrain.
Okay.
Now, let's go back home. For example, let's get down to the point. For example, the issue of light. How many businesses or startups have had to fold because of unavailability of power supply, consistent power supply?
That's
an
a
issue.
huge challenge.
All right. Now, this is why we say what really have a direct impact on the commoner is the capital expenditure.
Okay,
but over the years,
I think that's why. Yes.
Okay, but over the years, we do not see so much attention in terms of implementing the capital expenditure to the fullest. And that's the reason why it's sad. Towards the ending of last year, report has it that just 20% of our capital expenditure have been spent. But when you get to the recurrent expenditures, the money are being spent. It's easy to release them. But it is the capital expenditures, expenses that has direct impact on the entrepreneurs.
And we always have a full circle of the recurrent expenditure, meeting its full goal.
Of course, meeting is full circle. But when it comes to the capital expenditures,
there's a drawback.
That's the reason why I said it has to do with a political will, not political rhetorics.
Okay.
You know, the government have to look at infrastructures, Roads, good roads. Another thing that influence or affect infrastructures are roads, provision of roads.
Okay, I'll pause you there. I'll pause you there, and
right.
to you, Awal Fad, you are a startup consultant,
yes,
a young entrepreneur.
Yes.
Let's look at the 2019 national budget proposal. What it means to you. Is there hope?
There's always hope, because to lose hope is, they say, there's a saying that if you lose hope, you've lost everything. You can lose, so there's always hope. But like he said, political rhetoric is going to work in 2019. There's a part of the budget that he didn't say that I wanted to say. I heard it on the news recently on one of the stations. He said there's a part of it that the federal government wants to spend 1.02 billion naira on economic research or survey or something like that. That they want to find out what's wrong with them,
yes,
why there are so many people out of jobs, what
isn't it necessary for that research to be conducted?
Yes, for that research should have been it should be conducted.
Yes.
But we have a statistical agency in the NSBS, National Bureau of Statistics, that can do that. That already have some data they could work with, they could start to work with. But how come they're still doing it in 2019? So it means, if in essence, you can drop a conclusion that they don't have a solution yet to the Nigerian unemployment problem in 2019. So they still want to steep recession in 2019. So what? As well as I said, there's always hope. The hope is bleak. So where do we go from here? How do you, in 2019, still keep recession? What we've been doing for the last 16 years, every successive government tells you they will do research and come up with a plan. But how can you still be doing that in 2019?
Well, thank you. I'll pause you there. I will fat, but let's quickly take a short break, and we'll be extending the frontiers of this discussion. Do stay tuned.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Yes, it's the entrepreneur and 2019 budget proposal. And while that break was on, I had the opportunity to be joined by a politician and one-time gubernatorial aspirant, 2012-2016 in the Edo governorship race, Fred Uyigwe. Many thanks for joining us, Fred.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Okay, before I come back to you, let's look at the aspect FAD. We were talking about the issues about the 2019 the 2019 budget proposal, okay, and how it affects the entrepreneur. And you were talking about some kind of hope, but in the midst of some hopeless situations. Let's look at basically the emphasis made by the president when he made it clear that the continuation of the capital projects will be on even in the 2019 budget proposal, yes, which is a big development, because we've always had a challenge where there is always they always abandon the existing projects and then start up with new ones. But the president emphatically said that those existing projects will continue, so it means the completion of it will be seen. Isn't that a fact to hold on to?
Yes, it is a fact. But if you look at the political terrain right now, most of the, I'm not saying all of their focus have been diverted from economics to politics. I'm saying, but most of it has been diverted because they are, first of all, they are politicians. He's the president of Nigeria, but also a politician, and his first tenure is about to expire. So he's contesting now. He's a candidate contesting now for the election. February 2019. Thank you very much. So, in as much as he said he won't campaign, he will leave it to his co-chairman in the APC national thing. He will still be following up. So, as much as possible, his attention will be diverted.
So you are thinking it's a political statement?
It's not a political statement.
Okay.
And it lacks the political will, like he said.
Fred Uyigwe, the bite on the entrepreneur as it pertains to a fiscal document. We've always had these issues about the shortfalls of capital expenditures, but a full cycle of recurrent expenditures meeting it. What's the posture of the entrepreneur, the Nigerian entrepreneur, looking at the 2019 budget proposal?
For entrepreneurs to thrive in any economy, there must be enabling environment. There must be an enabling environment. And when we talk about enabling environment, we're talking of a spectrum of conditions.
Isn't that picking up now in the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari?
I wouldn't say so, because the indices are still very poor. The indices are poor, the trends or the indicators are poor. For a society like ours, with the kind of resources we have, both human and materials resources, we ought to be doing considerably better. And given the fact that we have a lot of latitude to grow. When, for example, a Nigerian worker goes into the factory today, comparatively will be producing 1/32 of what an American worker will produce, spending the same 8 hours at work on a daily basis. And the difference is in the absence of an enabling environment and technology. So these are things that we need to bring into play for us to increase our productivity as a society and consequently the GDP.
Okay, scrutinizing the proposal,
So,
there's this great grip on the fact that there's going to be a provision of about 15 billion naira for the for Agriculture and Bank of Industry, and also a provision of 10 billion naira to serve as subsidizing interest rates that will be given to small and medium-scale enterprises, that is, entrepreneurs. Isn't that also laudable?
see, that is where we get it wrong all the time. Because what we tend to do is we selectively look at the economy and then determine which one we believe without conducting the kind of research you was talking about earlier.
Yeah, fact.
You know, which of the sectors to support. What we need to do is have policies in place, laws in place to rejig the entire system so that the market forces will determine the investments that are being made by entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, everybody will be now running, okay, for example, towards agriculture because you want to support agriculture. But that is where they have a soft entry into the economy, into investment activities. Whereas if you have policies that touch every aspect of the economy, then the investors will now be forced to work based on their own inventions, based on what they have, what research they have conducted, what they have perceived as being their best opportunities, instead of all gravitating towards the one or two economic sectors that the federal government is concentrating on.
Okay.
So you don't want to do that.
All right. Yes. Thank you. Well, before I come back to you, you are an educationist,
yes,
as I gave
yes,
consent,
yeah.
and being that as it is, the hope and the fact that the 15 billion naira that will be given for the Bank of for Agriculture and Industry, isn't that awesome?
Philip, you are not talking like in Nigeria. I have been an entrepreneur all my life. As a young graduate, I've never had to work. You know, what I mean by this is I've been involved in different businesses. I'm trying to get all this so-called money for SMEs that you are talking about. I've sat with bank managers of even microfinance banks. I've been told horrible things. For me to access the so-called grant or loan, soft loan from the government, I need to know who is there. At the time, I was to get the CBN loan under the past administrator. I was told to go and meet the governorship aspirant of a popular political party, to meet the commissioner of commerce before I can access it. At the end of the day, honorable members of the House of Assembly got away with 5 million, 10 million. The proofs are there. You know, these things are not hidden. Today, one of the banks I was romancing with them had problem with recovering because of these honorable members that got in. See, the problem we have in this country is we have no limit to our politics. So it is difficult for you to tell an average entrepreneur like me that the federal government is going to disburse money or whatever. The same thing happened with the BOA. You know, in the past government, I was there. You know, I spent about 150,000 trying to get the BOA, that's Bank of Agric loan. I went into farming, which never came. A third experience was a farmer's loan, which was given to a certain microfinance bank. And at the end of the day, what did they do? From 500,000, they started giving 50,000, 100,000. See, what we have in this country is there's no limit to politics. Even our economy is politicized.
Okay, but you know that will come out of the woods over time.
It doesn't get down.
Because-
It's the same story, Philip.
because the-
It's the same story year in, year out. When are we going to come out of it?
Okay, let me pause you there. You spoke about economic
Doesn't get
research.
down.
Now, with these issues that is facing the entrepreneur, what do you think the government can do to bring about the closure on the setbacks?
We'll start with political will and infrastructure. There's a saying, government doesn't have any business with business. Your job is to create the enabling environment. They've been saying that for years. Even the politicians themselves, those are in power over time, still say the same thing.
But how true is that?
It's relatively true. Government has no business in, because they are not a charitable organization. They have to create the environment and let people thrive. And let me say something. Something just occurred to me while Honorable was speaking, the former governor, Chief Caspian, was speaking. It said about the comparative advantage, comparison between the Nigerian worker and the American worker. And what he said really interested me. So we have 1/32%. That's a
Ratio 1 to 32.
Okay, ratio 1 to 32.
Yeah.
So they will make 32 more times than us. That's what it means, right?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Well, that shouldn't be a basis of comparison
So-
because that's a developed polity you're talking about.
Every nation wants to be developed. We call ourselves a developing nation. Why are we calling ourselves a developing nation? Because we want to get up there. We left non-developed nation to developing, and then we're going up. Everybody wants to move forward. It's in human DNA to want to move forward. Every day when you wake up, you assess your life and find out, okay, where am I now? Where am I going? Okay. So we want to move forward. If we want to move forward, we have to imbibe the things that have worked.
Okay, as an educationist, Osage Gosen made practical examples on the setbacks he has been having. Have you been having any setback?
Definitely. We all live, like he said, we all live in the same Nigeria. So the issues that are affecting him affects me as well. This loan, this money you said will be available by the government, the requirements to get them are just too much. How does a governorship aspirant consigns a Bank of Agricultural loan that you have to get to support your agriculture? And you know also that the Nigerian entrepreneurs have been so caged that, imagine a politician or whoever, someone in government says, I will empower you with wheelbarrow. The use of wheelbarrow is very limited. So they are pushing towards the direction that to carry goods or from one place to the other. I want to see a situation where they open the cage for Nigerian creativity. I think it's been caged because Nigerians are creative generally. I think they've been caged. If you say you create a loan for all the agriculture, you are asking people to only focus on agriculture. And we all have broad spectrum, all things differently. Most of the business strategies are telecom, entertainment, and ICT and gadgets and what have you. Why don't you open a space that will tell Nigerians, okay, whatever your idea is, make it very accessible for them to get money. Money is a means to an end, not an end in itself. It's used to achieve a purpose. So, giving back to my creative cage I said about the Nigerian entrepreneur, let them open this space and say, okay, we will provide you with this means, which is money.
Provide Nigerians with money?
No, money that will be accessible to entrepreneurs, but it won't be streamlined towards one sector or anything. Just whatever ideas you have.
Not through like Bank of Industry.
Bank of Industry or whatever. Whatever ideas you have upstairs, come with it. If we look at it and it works, we support you. We tap the bureaucracy involved. Taking away the politics that he said that out of economy and let economy thrive on its own.
That could be in the picture.
It could be in the picture. It's always in the picture. That's the problem.
Okay, Freddie, let's look at the way forward in respect of closing the gaps.
See, there are a lot of things that the federal government or the governments all can do. All the governments, the 811 or 812 governments in the nation, they can all apply the same thing. We need to be able to fund projects on revolving loan or revolving funding basis, okay? Where you spend money on a facility or on, especially in a facility or on loans. And when you do that, When you recover those loans, you transfer it to another group, and again and again. And as you repeat and expand that process, the economy picks up. And that way too, you are reflating the economy. You keep reflating the economy. These are the kind of cycles that we are looking at. Our interest rate is geared toward one thing and one thing alone, and that is imports, because it is too high.
Yeah, of course.
You see, until you have very low interest rates that are comparable and competitive with international other nations' interest rates, you are not going to go nowhere. If you are giving interest to your citizens at 5%, hypothetically, and China is giving interest to her citizens at 1%, and it costs China 2% additional to transport their goods to Nigeria, your businesses will die because they borrowed at 5%. They cannot even compete with the goods coming from China. Unless you are borrowing at the same rate China is borrowing, or at a rate that will not be cancelled out by your advantage in their transportation of goods from China to your country. You're already down and under. So those are calculations that you must make. Then we must begin to emphasize technology. You see, like he tried to mention, like he mentioned just now, the 32-to-1 ratio difference.
Yes.
When our graduates leave school here, they are nearly at par with the graduates in those advanced nations.
Okay, we give them the potentials.
When I mean
the potentialities.
I want to say nearly at par.
Okay.
The reason I say nearly at par, I don't want to just say at par, is because even while they are at school there, they have part-time jobs. So they are already acquiring experience.
Yes.
So the only advantage they have over our own graduates is that they already have a few years of experience.
Okay.
But not too many years of experience.
Okay.
But that disparity begins to grow and grow and grow, because when our graduates leave school, they don't have jobs. And then they sit at home for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And by the time you now want to introduce them into the mainstream, into the stream of commerce and industry, the difference is too wide. So now we start blaming ourselves, we start blaming our educational system and all that. Whereas we have missed it in very many ways. So we really need to sit down and walk through what we need to do.
Okay.
I'll tell you, for the ordinary entrepreneur, my friend here says he has tried his hands in many businesses in times past. Myself, I have done the same thing.
And he's also doing well, being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You don't need to say everything.
No, very well.
Yes.
But he will tell you, I believe he will agree with me, that perhaps the biggest challenge for an entry, for entrance into a business is in accommodation. Because you are not going to find ready accommodation to operate. In many cases, you have to build a house. You have to first look for the funds to build your shop or to renovate your entire shop before you start business. So the capital you had that you were going to use to conduct business is first used to constructing the property. But when you are finished then you don't have capital.
You're right.
When you have that, when you have that problem, when you have that problem, then you find that a whole lot of people cannot engage in business like they are supposed to. But such problems can be solved. We have, for example, now, take the Allow DAO initiative, for example. If in developing that initiative, the government were to come and build shops, fabrication shops, industrial shops, people can then move their equipment into the place
and begin to spend money for such infrastructure.
Exactly. So we need to have all those things. What we are saying, okay,
that's infrastructural development, which is key. And the budget proposal 2019, we've had fiscal documents taking it.
Those are
when we spend the money, look, there are two types of, look, you are talking of infrastructure, you are talking of facilities. Two different things.
Two different things entirely.
When you construct roads, roads will not put money in the pockets of the citizens immediately. Okay,
But it provides easy access of goods from the
it gives them some savings and all,
facility to
all of that.
to the market.
Yes, and then if you have a vehicle or if you are traveling and all that, you save some money because transportation costs and all that will reduce.
And that will help the entrepreneur.
That will help. Thank you very much. But if you do not have money to start your business, you are not going to go anywhere. The road won't mean anything to you because you are going to see.
Thank you. Can I have this?
Yes.
Do you know currently, CBN agreed to 60% per annum, even for microfinance banks?
60% per annum.
Yes. CBN give the microfinance bank a benchmark. You know, I got this from a very reliable source. You know, at the end of the day,
when you say 60% per annum,
I mean interest rates.
Okay.
The banks, the microfinance banks are allowed to charge within that. Now, can you imagine how outrageous that is in terms of for SMEs? See,
but is that not what
entrepreneurial system?
Is that not what the 2019 budget proposal is starting?
Because you look at 10 billion
interest.
That's huge.
No.
It's not possible. It's not possible. You look at 10 billion naira that will be used to subsidize the interest rates that will be given to participants in that entrepreneurial sector.
Philip, this is not the first time.
That would take such percentages off.
Okay, but that is what we are waiting to see. That
Anyway,
this is not the
You are
first
talking
time.
60%. China is talking 1%.
Fine. This is not the first time we are having
US is
that.
talking 1.5%.
And see, the truth is, we don't have an environment, an enabling environment for young entrepreneurs to thrive.
We are yet to verify that because
No, come on now, in every dimension.
60% is huge.
As a benchmark,
You know,
as a
what else?
benchmark, the microfinance,
They're talking about 10%.
the microfinance banks are allowed per annum
60.
to get as much as 60% per annum.
Okay.
So they are allowed, they are at liberty.
Okay.
You know, to window between that. So they can use their discretion to make it 50% per annum or thereabout. But that is the benchmark from CBN. Now, how do you expect the average entrepreneur, like the other was saying, you are thinking about how to get money to start up, then you are thinking about light. Do you know how much it costs the average Nigerian businessman to provide light for himself? Do you know what it costs me for me to have light in my house every day? I pay for it through solar system. You know, that is the Nigeria we have found ourselves.
Connected to the national grid.
That's the reason why I'm saying that. But it's not working. You're all aware now of the fight you have been fighting.
I'll come back to
group.
I'll come back to you.
I think we need a holistic overhauling.
Exactly.
We need a holistic overhauling because we need to look at how will this startup get. See, Nigerians are hardworking people. They are creative and innovative. But the environment is not there. The environment is killing. I'm talking as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
You know what we keep on having? See, Nigerians have good policies on papers, good plans, good budget plans, but the implementation, that's why we keep on talking about the political will.
All right. You are a young entrepreneur, and I see you as creative. Now, in as much as we talk about what the government should do, aren't there strategies that the entrepreneurs should also use to better the lives of others?
Yes.
Are you keen into that?
Yeah, there are strategies, definitely, there are strategies. But you have to understand this. Let me give you this example. If you are running a race, it's not a hurdle. There are hurdle races and what have you. I'm not very athletic, so I don't know much about that.
Yeah.
But if you're having a race, let's say this is your example, and it's supposed to be a clean track from here to the next part, to where you conclude, that's how it's supposed to be. Now, if that's let's use that as a road for entrepreneurship. Okay. But the problem with the Nigerian entrepreneur, instead of the clean path he finds hurdles in that way that he didn't prepare for. So there are too much hurdles to cross for him to succeed. So that's why he's usually very stifled. You keep talking about these projects and what have you that they apply for. Talk is cheap. It's very, very cheap. It doesn't cost you anything. So marine is cheaper than air, oxygen. So you keep saying the same thing. We've been hearing this thing for 20 years. Nigerian democracy is 20 years, as at 2018.
Yeah, you spoke about doling out money to Nigerians.
Yes.
And what are the possible strategies?
Okay, let me make it easy for you. Yes. I was discussing with a friend on Saturday. We're in the public transport coming to Ball, and I said to him, he was not telling me about the issues he had. He had 2 business ideas he submitted to a company, and he didn't get funds due to one or two reasons. The political side of economics, like Honorable Sage, right? He keeps saying. And I went to the Musiki, look at this way. I heard, and they will soon make it public, about an organization. I told you, I said something about the creative cage that Nigerian entrepreneurs have been pushed in by streamlining what they are supposed to do, agriculture, wheelbarrow, grinding machine, and what have you. That streamlines them. So that's the cage they've been in. So I said, okay, this organization wants to create a fund, a competition, a little competition in which, let's say, for example, 2 million naira. Whatever ideas you have, okay, whatever ideas you have, you don't have to pay any money for it. Whatever ideas you have, in any field, just be 18 and above, because that's the legal age to be an adult in this country. Okay. 2, have a national document. The voter's card, I think, is more popular than the NIN, the National Identity Card. In that, as at last week, INEC announced that it was 81 million people that have voter's card, while I think as at some middle of last year, it's about 35 million. So when I say, okay, that the requirements are be 18 and above, have a national document.
Okay, but if you have all this...
apply for this apply to become part of the competition, have a business idea.
Okay.
Just have a business idea. Hold on a second.
We've always had that.
No, hold on a second. Let me finish. This is quite different. I'll tell you why it's quite different. So you have the 2 requirements already. Age is not a reversible entity, so it's there already. You already have a national document. Then have a business idea. Any ideas at all.
So that Nigerians can
hold on a second. Hold on a second. This is quite innovative. Have a business idea and then apply for the be part of the competition. Let me use football as an example. Football is the most popular sport in Nigeria, like the UEFA Champions League. Many teams compete, over 100 before they get to the group stages. That 64 competes and what have you. But there's a winner. There's just one winner. That's the same thing with this competition. So it's a competition. The requirements you already know. Let me say one more time.
Okay, no.
So
This
apply for it.
What I'm saying is that a strategy that even the government can also implement. Okay.
So instead of policy, please let me finish. Just 1 minute. Let me finish. Instead of policies and political statements, just like this Northeast Development Fund, create a fund and remove the politics in the economy. Create a fund in which whichever field, whichever idea you have. Let's use, for example, this. We keep talking about. Just 1 minute.
Yes, you've articulated a friend. We hope to see that coming to.
It's soon with the Hold on a second.
All right, but let's round off on this.
Okay. My good friend talked about the government's plan to have a research on why some of these problems exist.
But he also said that such records are already available.
Organizations like that.
But he also said too that there is a need for rejigging of the entire system.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
For us to do that, for us to be convinced that the government is serious about what they are doing, we have a number of business colleges within our universities. Why has the government not charged some of these universities, business schools, to come up with this research? Pay them, conduct this research, feed us, and let us defend your research. Let us know what to work with.
But research is part of the drive that the budget is working on.
When you pick and choose a couple of people from different places, when you put
to conduct research,
when you charge a university to conduct a research such as of that import, the university is going to feel compelled to bring out his very best because the name of the university is backing that research.
I think all of this also pertain to the whole that ASU is also looking at. And the reason why we're having this strike.
You have to get our academicians involved in solving the nation's problems.
Okay.
We are not doing enough of that. Then we also have to think about, early in the inception of this administration, this APC administration, they came up with a report that 45% of all loans given out by commercial banks are borrowed by the board members. 25 major, 25.
Well, I'm yet to see that report.
No, so in the newspaper, it's notorious.
Okay, yes. Because listen, just wanted to say it because we
have to say these things. Yes, and the reality.
I want to bring the reality to us. 25 major banks in the nation. Okay, 25. The board members, an average of say 12 members. That comes to 300 people taking 45% of all the loans
what's left
given out. So what is left? 55%.
The politicians have not taken theirs. Sorry.
Politics in the economy keep at the end of the day. What is left? So you are not pushing. So you need laws to guard against such abuses.
Okay, a lot the government has to do.
These are abuses.
Yes.
We don't have anti-usury laws.
Okay, thank you.
What he was saying about it's about anti-usury. 60%. That's usury.
That's it. And do you know one of
there should be a threshold. There should be a limit over which nobody should lend money.
Thank you. In 1 minute, your final words on this.
Let me say that today we are home to the poorest people on earth because we are nowhere when it comes to our GDP. And the set of people that can help a nation's GDP are the entrepreneurs.
Well, I don't believe that we are the poorest.
We are home to the poorest people in the world now. That is
when you say
global
home,
news.
When you say home, you make it look like we are already home. We are there. Is that what you said?
Okay.
So, but we can't say that we are at that level.
That is the report. That is what Transparency International and all kind of international groups are saying. We have accepted that over time.
You accepted it?
No, even the government of the day. Nigeria housed the poorest people in the world. See, let's not be economical with the truth. We need to look at the economic sector and be able to give due attention to the entrepreneurs. Because if we are going to have a speeding rise in our GDP, it is going to be determined by the entrepreneurs. And, like I said, it's a total overhauling. A situation where you get this loan as an outrageous percentage interest rate, then you are expected to start paying immediately.
Yeah, but that
as soon as you are giving loan, from the next month, there is no allowance for you to even try to work the business. Then when you come to infrastructure, what do we have? The attendant cost of running business in this country is alarming. You are not even talking about driving the business. So what the entrepreneurs keep on doing is a game of the survival of the fittest. Sad to say.
Like you do.
It's like I do. It's about having something. It's about the entrepreneur.
To a great extent, you are also being
I am in it, but entrepreneurship in Nigeria is just survival tactics. It's not about affecting the economy. It's not about creating jobs. It's about if I can get a meal and a bar or a rice on my table today. Okay, that has become the dream. And what we have seen the government begin to do is about tax drive. Okay. They want tax. They go all the length to say, give me tax. Now they pick people from the street in the name of tax.
Okay, thank you.
But they are not looking at how these small businesses survives.
Okay, I take that as your final words. Your final words on this. We must round up on this, please. Your final words.
There are too many hurdles, I just tell you. In a clean track that's supposed to be entrepreneurship. We're not saying it's supposed to be easy, but at least there should be something. There should be already a platform you can run on.
Okay.
That's what I was saying about the hurdle part.
Okay.
So my final word, let me finish what I was saying earlier. So I told him about this 2 million naira competition, and he was very impressed, and he told me, how do I apply? I just gave him the requirement, 18, have a national document, write a proposal professionally, and submit.
Okay, you keep stressing this.
No, because
but how?
we want to make it, we want to innovate it, so that the federal government can buy into it. This Northeast, I'm not proud about this, but when I saw what was done there, I applauded it. The Northeast Development Fund or something. That was an initiative to rebuild it after the finishing, annihilated Boko Haram and what have you. Okay. That's a good idea.
Okay, in summary, what you're saying that as a young entrepreneur, you want to key into such.
Yes, I want not just policies.
To ameliorate the people.
Thank you. Not just politics.
Irrespective of the fact that you are not getting anything from the government.
Anything from the government?
Yes.
No, please. Thank you very much. In what sense?
No. You spoke about key into doling out money to Nigerians. Now, not necessarily getting any encouragement from the government. How do you do that?
Private organizations.
Private organizations.
Yes. Okay. Look at it like this. Entrepreneurship is not just one entity. We've said it several times. Infrastructure. Everybody has a role to play. Okay. It's a partnership between federal government, the government of the day, and the private sector. They create the enabling environment. The entrepreneurs thrive.
Okay.
So each has its own functions. So if the government is supposed to lead by example and allow this thing, but it seems in Nigeria the reverse is the case. So we say, okay, let private individual, like the commission, but private came together and like, since we were able to overcome this challenge, very few make it to the top. So most entrepreneurs that now, it's a survival cheaters, putting food on the table, and as soon as they can eat, you say, okay, I've tried for the day, and you move on. Which is not supposed to be entrepreneurs. Okay. The true essence of entrepreneurship.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Awofad is a startup consultant, and we just hope that you get the best in your endeavors as you pull along on that. Yeah. And thank you very much, Osagie Godsent. I know you want to say something.
Yes,
Osagie Godsent, thank you very much. As an educationist, you also placed more flesh on the discussion. And Frederick Igwe is a business expert. You are at the top echelon, though.
The government should invest more into education.
I think one way or the other, you must have gotten some soft landing from the government. Because you've been a politician.
I have not yet. I just wish the government would actually push policies that will make funds available to entrepreneurs at low interest rates that are globally competitive, and then we'll be ready to compete with imported goods and services.
Create a fund and remove the politics from economy.
All right, the government will just do that.
Our economy is like water and oil; they don't mix.
Thank you. Well, as we look at other areas, most especially the recent case on the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the CJN, Walter Onnoghen, whose issues has been on about the alleged false declaration of assets. Well, good enough, we've had this in democracy, and some say that this is a big blow to democracy, separation of power, rule of law, and all that. In just a minute, what's your reaction over that?
It's a shame that at this point in time, we are going through a process such as this. We have so many experts in the governments, in the oppositions, and in all the political parties, and even in the society, who know exactly what separation of powers means, who know exactly what democracy, presidential system of government, what a democratic system of government entails.
All right, let me quickly cut in. We'll be taking a short break, and after the break, we'll be concluding this discussion segment. Do stay tuned.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you for staying with me on the program this morning on ITV. And before the break, Freddie Igwe, you had the floor. About a minute to do that.
Yeah, I was just saying that I love the presidential system of government because of that element of separation of powers within the organs. It does not allow powers, authority to be concentrated on any one organ, because that's what causes abuse. When you fuse two organs together, where the judge is also the legislator or the executive, then he has unlimited power.
But the presidential system of government, we still have this concentration of powers in the executive.
Unfortunately, listen,
that's what we experience.
Buhari, look, I'll say this. Buhari coming in as a Democrat, okay, told us that he has repented of his dictatorial experience and years, and that he's now a reborn Democrat. So we accepted him as such. But with what has been going on, we have found out that it is not easy. It's not easy to repent from that for which you have lived and practiced for I don't know how many years. The man is about 80 years now.
Okay, but it's not. But it's not about the president.
The thing is, no. The thing is,
it's not about the president. Excuse me, sir. Let's look at the procedure.
The government.
Let's look at the procedure.
Look, the three organs of government, when they function, even in their separate entities, they all ought always to seek legal advice, because all their actions entails legal implications. So they should have legal advisors, and I'm sure the executive has a lot of it. The Attorney General's office is there to let the president know that the office of the CJN, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, is equivalent to his own.
Okay, so are you saying by that, because you made a demonstration or an analysis on his his military background,
Yeah.
are you saying by that he has not left that style? Is
No,
that what you are
he
suggesting?
doesn't seem to have left it because.
Okay.
No, excuse me. How are you going to arraign the Chief Justice of the nation? His office, he is the epitome of Nigeria, of judiciary.
Does that make him above the law? I think it has to do with the
Look,
process.
excuse me, sir.
No one is above the law.
Excuse me, sir. Nobody is above the law.
yes.
Not even the president is above the law.
Okay.
Okay? But to protect democracy, to protect our franchise, they are giving some immunities.
No, I think.
no, excuse me.
I think what we should be looking at is the process.
No.
Because if you look at what transpired,
Let me.
there should be a proper communication with the National Judicial Council.
If it were just possible, excuse me, sir.
Which
if it were just possible, if it were just
wasn't
possible,
followed.
hold on one second. If it were just possible for me to take the president to court over some civil case or even criminal case, for me, just me, as a citizen, to take him to court,
Yeah.
he will be distracted from the larger picture, the larger function.
That's why the
of
immunity
function.
comes in.
That's where immunity is coming. They don't want such abuses.
Are you
And that
are you by that saying that the CJN has that?
Exactly. The CJN is the head of that entire organ, surrounded by equals.
Then how do you check anomalies?
Exactly. There are
This is quite.
excuse me. There are procedures for checking that. The Judicial Service Commission is there.
The NJC.
The NJC is there. That's one. And two, to impeach his office, he cannot just be arraigned and tried. Tried by whom? By an office that is way below him, a tribunal. All the tribunals, all the lower courts, they are all under the Supreme Court. So who is going to try him? Except in the Supreme Court.
That is a bottleneck procedure.
No, it's not a bottleneck, because like the president has the same thing, the same protections.
Okay, let me allow others to share their lights as we round off.
In his own case, he needs to be impeached if he is found guilty, and that process has to go through.
Okay,
the
your reactions about
the issue is sometimes I wonder if some of our politicians have their thinking cap. I use that
just
because,
go straight to the point.
Yes,
you don't need to.
I use that. I had to say that because if you look at now, nobody is against the corruption fight. Any sane Nigeria, we stand for the fight against corruption because it has killed us as a nation over the years, and it's still killing us. But when a fight negates or abuses due process, now you just spoke about the immunity for the president and some other governors, what have you.
The president, the governor,
because of the immunity, you can't try them while they are in power, except they have handed over power.
Yes.
Now, what about the provision for the judiciary? It is a provision. Now, the Chief Justice is not above the law. You know, I don't have a problem with having to take the Chief Justice to the law court or any high-profile Nigeria if they are guilty of an offense.
But it has to pass through a process.
But you see, it has to go through a process. Yes. And you know, there are many circumstances that make people start reading meanings to issues. Remember that just 2 years ago, it was difficult for the present government to assent to the request that this guy should be permanent when he was acting Chief Justice.
Okay, what's your advice?
It was a tug of war.
Okay.
Now, what we are saying in essence is that the federal government should do the needful. There should be respect for due process. Now, this man was supposed, according to the law, according to the constitution, he was supposed to go through the CJN. The National Judicial Commission.
Yes.
He's supposed to go through the National Judicial Commission.
Yes.
If he's now found guilty, before you bring anything about a court injunction, now the APC is already calling for a resignation. On what ground? Now, bad as it may seem, but the Chief Justice has not been declared guilty. These are still allegations until the court certify that you are guilty. So he's still perceived as an innocent Nigeria.
The trial is for January 22nd. And
don't also forget that
we see how that pans out.
Part of what is arousing the suspicion is there's so much haste about this. In January 9th, this petition was submitted. In 3 days, there was an investigation done. Before you know it, there was an arraignment. You know, now what the ordinary Nigerians are asking is, why this speedy harassment, so to speak? Because this is a man that is supposed to constitute the tribunal after the election, because there are going to be different tribunals sitting.
Yes.
He's already been distracted. You see, what I think is the ruling party create problems for themselves. They create rooms for people to paint a back picture for them, which may not be their intentions. Because this issue is coming at a time where a lot of people are beginning to ask questions. Why?
Okay, thank you.
know,
You've articulated your
what
point.
part of the things we are also looking at from today is we're also calling that the IGP, that's the Inspector General of Police, you know, is due for retirement. So we are also trying to look at and see if there's going to be something done about that.
No, but there's respite, and something is being done about that, because the president is already looking at one's direction. For the replacement.
Okay,
that was on the headlines today.
All right.
And
No,
so
we didn't need to have waited. I mean, you know,
but at least it's making a step in the right direction.
It's not good enough.
It's not good enough, sir. Nobody can deny that the CJN issue.
They say on easy lies the head that wears the crown. Don't forget that.
You said?
On easy lies the head that wears the crown.
If any civil servant collects his salary one day over his retirement period, he will be liable to a criminal offense.
Of course.
The
retirement process.
Thank you. Let's have your opinion on this.
I think what they are trying to say, there are political undertones to it, and it seems, in quote, friends of the IGP. I don't want to be liable to be sued or anything. I think they are friends of the administration that are protected even after their tenure seems to have expired, because I still don't know what the IGP.
We're not talking about the IGP.
I want to relate it to the CJN.
Just stop that one and go straight to Water and Organ.
The state of the trial
Yeah.
raises suspicions, raises question. Why so fast? Is the process being followed? Has he been declared guilty before the APC, like he said, called for his resignation? In a democracy, you are presumed innocent until proven beyond reasonable doubt.
But they were only starting a process.
The APC rushing to call him for his
There are Nigerians who have been called for 2 years.
3 years, sir.
The president is a politician.
The party. It has a lot to do with governance.
The party
and the way it is, we have institutions.
Sir,
so why don't you allow the institutions to work?
The party has the government that is in power.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a way, you can't separate the party. Okay, and like what I said, the APC government gives room for a lot of suspicions.
Okay,
because we can start looking at the fact that we have court cases.
You have the floor in the next 30 seconds. Your final words on this.
We shouldn't rush the trial. If he should be given fair hearing, he's a Nigerian. It's not above the law, whatever position he occupies. It shouldn't be rushed. The reason why they are looking into political undertones is because of this tribunal they are talking about. I don't think the APC or the presidency sees him as a friend, in quotes.
Okay, well, let's not go there. Thank you so much, Fad. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Osagi Godsend. I know you still have a lot to say.
We have a lot, please. It's just...
And Fred Uyigwe, many thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, this is where we call it a wrap on the discussion segment. Big thanks to you for being part of it.